Right, so it all set for the semi-finals of the UEFA Champions League. Interesting results from Tuesday's games played and then also Wednesday's games played. So after Barcelona sealed a place in the last four, PSG also followed suit. But then on Wednesday, big games came off. The Giuseppe Meazza Inter Milan drawing 2-2 with Bayern Munich, which means that Inter Milan are into the last four. But then the game that everyone, actually had their eyes following was a game at the Estadio Santiago Bernabéu, Real Madrid against Arsenal. So quite a number of football faithfuls were just hoping that Madrid could at least, just pull a comeback. But unfortunately, Arsenal showed their prowess. And then it takes you back to about 20 years ago when they actually beat Real Madrid, during the days of Thierry Henry, home and away to qualify. So Arsenal getting the better of the Los Blancos. Interesting results and quite shocking as far as the Champions League is concerned. Because between these two sides, they've won a combined 15 UEFA Champions League titles. But guess what? Arsenal is yet to win one. So for them to be the kings of Europe, it tells you how good they were on the day. Gentlemen, interesting results. What a game we witnessed. Come on, no one, not anyone, not even the football gods would have written such a script. I'm sure someone changed it along the way for us.
What does I am really surprised, you understand, because I thought that the way the entire match panned out would have been totally different from the way the first round panned out, because the first round Arsenal did play, Arsenal did create the chances, and Real Madrid did not come to the party. Some might say it's because of tactical reasons. Some might say it's because they lack the fluidity that we have come to appreciate them with, But Arsenal were just better on the day, mentally, tactically, technically. Arsenal were better on the day. And you see, it carried into the second round, which is the match that we watched today. Ancelotti did lay in the 4-3-3 formation. With the front three, all knew what the front three was going to be.
Yeah.
Camavinga is off because he's been suspended. My problem was that there was no intent. You understand? I mean, if you come to the Bernabéu, we all expected a remontada. You understand? I thought that Madrid had what it takes to overturn the first leg result, because 3-0 is not something that is totally out of scope, because we have seen it before. We have seen teams, come to the Bernabéu and crumble. We have seen teams come to the Bernabéu and then throw away their lead. You understand? And Arsenal is a team that over the past couple of seasons have not been there mentally, especially at the biggest stage. So I thought that they were going to crumble, And in the first 15 minutes when Saka missed that penalty, I thought, this is the moment for Real Madrid to capitalize on. But the first half went and not even a single shot on target. You understand? Not even a single shot.
Was it at that point you felt it was just going to be over for you?
It was at that point, you understand? Because if Arsenal had taken the wind out of their sail, if Saka had scored that penalty, it would have been a different ball game altogether, you understand? So for Saka to have missed that penalty, I thought it was a clear sign that Real Madrid would have, gone on to win the game and then, probably push for extra time. But for the first half of the game, I did not see the Real Madrid that I have come to know over the past 20, 25 years. I did not see a team that is capable. I did not see a team that over the past 1 week or over the past 7 days have spoken about a remontada, have spoken about a comeback. You understand? I've spoken about the fact that the Bernabéu is going to be a backing vocalist for them. I've spoken about the fact that they can do it. It is within them to overturn a 3-0 result. You might say it is tactical. You might say it is technical.
Do you think it was down to Arteta's tactical injury?
No, it is not.
You think it has nothing to do with tactics?
It has nothing to do with tactics. Arsenal on the day were mentally far superior than Real Madrid.
Interesting.
Even at the Bernabéu.
Now, would you believe we could have such a conversation regarding Arsenal being mentally superior, or having even the right mentality heading to a UEFA Champions League knockout game.
Jose, you don't even have to finish the question. Nobody, absolutely nobody, would have predicted that on the day between Arsenal and Real Madrid, Arsenal would have had a more fortitude or more mental fortitudeness against Real Madrid. Nobody thought. I did not think. I get to the point. But on the day, if you look at the way the game progressed, even after missing that penalty, they were calm. You see, you did not see nerves. You did not see any nervousness about their play. They were calm. They were collected. They knew how they were going to execute their plan to the extent that they went ahead in the second half. So it was just indicative of the fact that they were well groomed tactically, technically, and the vision was to come to Real Madrid, was to come to Spain and not go toe to Real Madrid, but come and play their game. And at the end of the day, they played their game and they were victors on the day as well.
Courage, I do not know what you have to say about that, but trust me, you talk about one of Arsenal's greatest performances in the history of the competition. I'm sure they'll put this one up there. Perhaps the greatest ever achievement. Maybe perhaps if they win the Champions League, then they could say that would be the most defining moment in their entire European history. But so far, you'd say this is the biggest Arsenal has ever achieved.
In the history of Champions League?
Yeah.
They've been to the final before.
No, but that wasn't an achievement.
Finals, for sure, will surpass this. Being in the final, actually getting a medal, they had a medal.
But it wasn't a defining moment where you lose in the final.
But if you get a medal, it's better than getting just a mere result.
Against Real Madrid, 15-time champion.
Oh yes. But then, one thing for sure, nobody ever predicted this dominance. Arsenal will beat Real Madrid home and away.
Double.
Come on. An aggregate score of what? 5-1. That's some serious scoreline. It happens in matches between maybe Terrible Tiraspol and Manchester United, maybe Chelsea versus a Kazakhstan team. But come on, Real Madrid, the most successful club in the history of the Champions League, succumbing to a 5-1 defeat against Arsenal, a team that has not won the Champions League before.
What won it for Arsenal? What won it for them?
It's just fortune. I don't know, because I didn't see any tactical prowess or any balancing. And then talk of motivation too. Real Madrid were also motivated.
I think
they were up there because even prior to the game, this guy Jude Bellingham sparked a conversation online. That's, come on guys, we are going to do this. Vinny Jr. came to fuel it, and then one other player also said, yes, we are going to do this. So what happened? They got beaten in their own backyard again.
But wasn't not just one of those gimmicks. So let's try. We've seen Liverpool do it before. You remember when they went to the Metropolitan when they got beat. Even by Liverpool, and they were like, "Oh, you come to Anfield, and then Atletico came to Anfield and beat them again." We've seen this thing, like you try to motivate yourself. But it's one of those things.
Let's go for player for player. I don't think Arsenal has that quality to surpass Real Madrid. I don't think so. Because
first, you'd agree quality-wise. You look at these two teams and you think Real Madrid are far superior in terms of quality.
Not far superior, but it's a well-balanced team. Maybe 5-5 each or 6-5.
Were combined 11, like
yes,
the quality of both
teams. Josiah. On any day, you understand, when it comes to this season or last season, if you look at a compartment of the game, if you look at goalkeeping, defense, midfield, the midfield, you can even try to segregate it between attacking midfield and defensive midfield. And then you go to the forward lines, you understand? Let's start with the goalkeeping department. There's no way you can tell me that Raya is better than Courtois. No, you understand? And yes, William Saliba and then Gabriel are two of the best defenders when it comes to the EPL. You understand? But we are talking about
someone who has
won the Champions League. You understand?
Yes.
I mean,
Antonio Rudiger
and Militao
and David Alaba
and David. You see. So the defensive setup, you might say that yes, Arsenal has a bit of an edge over there.
They have the balance.
No, you wouldn't say there's a balance because of Vasquez. You understand? Apart from Vasquez, Arsenal has natural players for their positions. You understand? And then you come to the midfield. The midfield, I would say, is going to be a bit of a match. I get to the point.
Yes.
So Saka, Rice, Partey could match any midfield trio.
No, take off Saka.
You take off Saka because
Rice,
that's Ødegaard,
Ødegaard, Rice,
Partey.
You understand? You could compare that to the midfield trio of Real Madrid.
Okay.
Then the problem where you have the bigger disparity is the
forward line.
But how do you? Yeah, so you talk about the superiority over there, and then you end up in over 180 minutes of football. You score one.
That is where the problem is. I get to the point because under no circumstance should you have imagined, or I would not have imagined that against Arsenal over 2 legs, and you have 3 of the best attackers in world football, right? And they failed to score more than a goal.
Interesting.
That is where the problem is. So is it a lack of goal scoring form, or is it that the defensive setup of Arsenal were able to deal with the goal scoring threat of Real Madrid? These are the questions that we will have to be asked, and these are questions that we would have to we would need answers to. I get to the point.
Sure.
Is there a shift in balance between the front 3 last season compared to this season? Because remember, last season we did not have Mbappe in the midst.
Yeah.
So what's the name? Jude Bellingham was playing more as a number 9, more as a
false 9.
As a false 9.
Yeah.
And you see, he has the lungs, right, to play as a false 9, not to stay up there, but to be there and still have a lot of defensive work.
Yeah.
But now he's been brought properly back to help on the left side of midfield.
Is that having a toll?
No, it is not having a toll on him. Just that the influence
of the team. I'm talking about.
It is not. It is not.
The shift in system is actually affecting Real Madrid in Europe. We saw how ruthless they were without Kylian Mbappe. Now we're all thinking, yeah, you bring in Kylian Mbappe, that's some quality addition to the team.
But Kylian also giving them the numbers. What's required?
But it's one thing talking about the numbers, and then you talk about the balance in the team.
You always have a problem when you add to the piece that has always been whole. I get to the point. You see, I wouldn't talk about the tactical tweaks because Ancelotti has always had it right. You understand? Fixing players here and there, but at the end of the day, there's always a ceiling. I get to the point to how lucky you are going to get. I am not saying that Real Madrid has been lucky. They've been well intent in what they want to do, but you're not always going to be exceptional. You understand? And over 2 legs, Arsenal just have been better. You understand? Arsenal just have more motivation. Arsenal just were tactically more brilliant. Arsenal seem to have wanted it more. I get to the point. In the first leg, yes, we might say that they were lucky to have scored those 2 goals. And nobody's going to tell me that Rice could still score 2 fixes in the game. I do not believe that. You understand? So yes, they were lucky. Even though they created majority of the chances in the first leg, they could have scored more than 3. You understand? But at the end of the day, if anybody had told me, or if anybody believed that it's going to be total annihilation, both the first leg and the second leg, I would not believe that.
We speak about the Champions League. We talk about character, legacy, pedigree, whatever.
History.
Some even talk about some supernatural forces we've seen, because we are talking about a team that pulls the most, magical moment in the history of this competition. You think at this point it sums up the fact that there's something missing. After the inclusion of Kylian Mbappe, would you agree that this Real Madrid, and it's about time that maybe Madrid, just do away with their coach?
The coach?
Yeah.
I don't think the coach should be blamed that much, because it happens.
This Madrid, if you are not winning, then you're packing.
This is an unfortunate phase in his career, though, because I don't remember the last time Real Madrid lost quite in 2-legged matches with this huge margin. So fair enough, yes, the coach has to be blamed, but then you look at the work he has put in up to this stage. He did well in the group stage, qualified all the way to meet Arsenal. I think one thing about this Real Madrid team is complacency. I think they undermined.
Was it because they felt it was Arsenal?
Yes.
Was it because if it had been any other team, they would have reacted differently?
Yeah, especially in the first leg, because I don't see why I should concede 2 quick goals, free kick goals as from same spots. Like, how does that happen? And then to talk of Kylian Mbappe's inclusion in the team, I remember when he came freshly, there were issues with him playing his position, his neutral position. Either you should let him operate from the left flank or put him at the arrowhead.
Yeah.
And then we saw from different games where 3 players were all shifting to the left side because that was where their specialty were. They were able to operate from that flank. That was the 3 forward liners: Rodrigo, Goes, Kylian Mbappe himself, and then Vini Jr., a player they projected to be the Ballon d'Or winner. They were all on the left side, leaving the spaces at the right side and the forward line available. You see, so position-wise, it's also a problem because Kylian Mbappe has made it clear to Didier Deschamps in the national team that he is not a striker. He's not a number 9. So he wants to play as a left winger. But then when you come to Real Madrid, it's a bigger club. You do not decide. Wherever they put you, that's where you play until you prove yourself that no, I'm now the boss. You need to create a team around me. I need to be the arrowhead. But as at now, Kylian Mbappe does not have that command. The spotlight is still on a certain Vini Jr. So until Kylian Mbappe does more than what Vini Jr. has offered them, let's not forget, Vini Jr. has held them down since Karim Benzema's departure. So if Kylian Mbappe wants to write his name or wants to be the arrowhead or wants to be the talk in town or want the team to revolve around him, then he needs to do what's expected of him, which is banging in the goals and then trying to erase Vini Jr.'s name bit by bit to his advantage. But then as we speak now, he's still not the talisman of the team. So he has no say. But it all boils down to the coach. For the coach to have balls and say, no, I don't know if Real Madrid has a main striker.
No, I don't think it's still Kylian Mbappe. Yeah.
An orthodox number 9. A player will say this is a striker. Like Alexander, since this guy left, Karim Benzema left, Jovic has left. Who else? They've not brought in any proper striker. You see,
Joselu also left.
Yes, he left.
Saudi Arabia.
Yes, so there's no striker. So as at now, Kylian Mbappe is coming to play as a number 9. Is he comfortable there? Is he functional there? You say yes because he's getting the numbers. And then I think this team still needs a certain Vini Jr. to function properly because days when Vini Jr. is off, the team goes off totally. Example is today. He didn't get his day. They were off. In the first leg, he didn't get his day. During Timber marked him out totally. And then from one person's responsibility to the other. The second is command. So it's supposed to be Mbappe was also off. And then who was the next? Rodrigo Goes. He was also dealt with fairly by the left Lewis Kelly. Yeah. You see, so Real Madrid's strength is is up front. The trio I just mentioned. So immediately we are able to block them. The midfield has nothing to offer. Because certainly Luka Modric is weak. He's not able to produce those magic he used to produce in the back. Kamamiga was out of this game. Tchouaméni, I don't know. Tchouaméni, the player I thought he would be, is not who I'm seeing right now. Tchouaméni, I don't think he's the kind of player, midfield player or a profile Real Madrid needs. He's too average for Real Madrid. Since he came to Real Madrid, I've not seen any exceptional talent. He's just average. He's just average.
Interesting. Would you, if you're Kylian Mbappe, quickly, would you be thinking, I'm the reason why we are not here? These are the defending champions. They wouldn't be able to defend their title anymore. And we all know that glaringly, there was only one change they made or one addition. If you're Kylian Mbappe, how would you be feeling now? You think this guy will be feeling okay? And the players wouldn't even, like quietly be thinking, Charlie, we just brought you in and see what just happened. We're better off without you. I think they wouldn't be thinking that way.
No, you will not think that way, you understand? Because it's going to be in your wildest dream for anybody to think that Madrid is going to go on and then continuously win the Champions League every single season. You understand? I mean, it is not plausible, right? Okay. There's going to be a period where they are not going to win. And this year is such a period. I get to the point. It is not dependent on the efforts or lack thereof from one particular player. If you look at this season, Kylian Mbappe has been absolutely the best player for Real Madrid. You understand? When it comes to his output, you might make an argument that yes, where he was needed the most, he was not able to effectively impact the game.
It's called the hat trick in their previous match.
No, you are not getting to the point. Where you are expected the most. I get to the point. Madrid is a team that expects utmost. What's the name? The best out of you. I get to the point. The quarters, the semis, the finals. You see, when continuously you get to the finals, when you get to the quarters and the semis, it is no more an achievement. We expect Madrid to get to the finals, but it shouldn't be lost on you that they cannot actually be going to the finals and be winning every single season. That is what they expect to be achieving. But it is not realistic. It is not. The reality is that once in a while, you're going to be knocked out in the quarters, you're going to be knocked out in the semis, you're going to be knocked out in the round 16 stage. You understand? But is it dependent on one individual's inability? No. So as a player in the form of Kylian Mbappe, because Kylian Mbappe at the highest level has proven himself in the World Cup finals against Croatia in 2018, he delivered. In the World Cup finals against Argentina, even though they lost, he was practically the best player on the pitch. You understand? I mean, he gave them 3 goals. In it. So at the end of the day, I cannot blame Kylian Mbappe. He's a part of a bigger picture. Just that this season, the whole team hasn't been that functional. The whole team hasn't been that sharp. And I do very well believe that this is just going to be a momentary, lapse of victory in Real Madrid's coffers, because this is Real Madrid. They're going to bounce back, and they're going to bounce back very well. The blame is also going to go to the doorsteps of Carlo Ancelotti. But you see, when people do critique Carlo Ancelotti, I hardly do want to critique it, because whatever Carlo Ancelotti has been able to achieve in the game, you cannot mention any other coach who has been able to achieve what he has been able to achieve. So I don't try to question the tactical ingenuity of Carlo Ancelotti. It is a game that he has lost, and he very well lost it. You understand? Not because as a winger, not because Mikel Arteta was better than him, but because on the day he got his tactics right, his players were well motivated, his players were up to the task, his players knew what was at hand. Because you see, Arteta has been at the helm of affairs for Arsenal for the past 8 years, right? And for the 8 years, he has promised the people to believe in the project. And for 8 years, they had continually failed. Do you understand? And this is the first time that they had been in the semis, I think, in more than 20 years. Yeah, it's been a very long time. You understand? So for them to be in the semis, to me, just speaks volumes to the work that Arteta is doing. Even though in the domestic front, they are not doing that well, because we had expected them to be challenging for the title after Man City, but they have not been able to get to that level. But they are getting to that level rather in the Champions League. So yes, we should give them the credit for knocking out Madrid in the Champions League.
Gentlemen, quickly before we leave, the fixtures are set for the semi-finals. We know it's going to be Bayern are out. So Inter, Barcelona, this Arsenal, PSG. Quickly with you to the final. So which 2 teams are you tipping? Inter, Barca. Which team do you think will go through?
Wow. It's a very difficult one. And then I expect Inter
to make it to the final.
Yes.
PSG, Arsenal.
Wow. PSG are on and off. Today they are doing well. Tomorrow they are playing abysmally. Arsenal have been consistent. I'll go for Arsenal.
So you're going for Inter Arsenal
in the final, yes.
And if I should push you again, it won't be Arsenal's year, is it?
Wow. That's just it.
Inter by Barcelona.
What, Jose, you see, the dynamics are different, you understand? I mean, the same stage in 2009, they met, you understand? And then Inter knocked Barcelona out, you understand?
That's that famous
yes, and if you look at you see, both teams are strong in different departments. Inter is well drilled when it comes to their defensive solidity. Barcelona has more of an advantage when it comes to their attacking trident. You understand? So, will Inter be able to negate the potency of Barcelona? Will Barcelona be able to use their attacking threat to nullify the defensive unit of Inter Milan? Because don't forget, in as much as Barcelona has so much attacking firepower, Inter also has attacking firepower.
Of course.
In Lautaro and Thuram. These are 2 fantastic, attackers. You understand? So it is dependent on who is able to equalize the opponent's threats and be able to use what they have. But looking at both teams and what they bring on board, I do believe that Inter has got more to offer.
And the PSG Arsenal game?
The PSG Arsenal game is going to be a bit dicey because if you look at what PSG is doing in the Champions League, the fact that they were able to come from 2 goals down to beat Man City, right? I mean, fantastic football by our standard. They came to Anfield and then beat Liverpool. Something that I did not expect. You understand? But footballing, spectacle, you would say, because of what we saw in Paris. You understand? I mean, the level of football that we saw in Paris. For 90 minutes, Real Madrid, for 90 minutes, Liverpool were dormant. For 90 minutes, PSG dominated and showed Liverpool how football was played. The same thing did happen in England. You understand? And then against Aston Villa, where they had a scare for their lives, you understand? I mean, because at Villa, they nearly went out, But at the end of the day, you ask yourself, who has got much more quality? You see, when it comes to quality-wise, you would say that they both cancel each other out. So it's going to be who on the day offers more, right? And per what I have seen, with Arsenal knocking out Real Madrid by 5-1 aggregate score, and then PSG also doing their best to knock out Aston Villa. And if you compare the teams that they both have been able to knock out, then you might say that Arsenal has done a bigger job compared to PSG. But you also have to go back into the round of 16th to see whom PSG knocked out. You understand? Yes. So I on the basis of that and on the scale of differentials, I would say that PSG has got much more firepower compared to Arsenal.
Interesting. I don't know which teams you are tipping to advance to the grand finale, but then my panelists have spoken. So PSG is there from both, and then also there's Inter Arsenal. Actually, Kai says he wants to see an Inter Milan and then Arsenal finale, but then Force claims otherwise. You can also have your say in there, but then it's been a very, very thrilling night of UEFA Champions League action at the Santiago Bernabéu. Arsenal against all the odds, they managed to beat Real Madrid 5-1 on aggregate to advance to the last 4. So the last 4 is now set. Barcelona taking on Inter Milan and then Arsenal taking on PSG. Who do you think is going to win the UEFA Champions League for the 2024-2025 season?